These smoking ceremonies have been handed around for thousands of years, and it's a part of Indigenous people spirit world. Today where we are, we open a new part of the building. It's given us the opportunity to do a traditional smoking ceremony, raise all the spirits in the area and make them aware that this new building's taken place, and also make people aware that our Indigenous life is still available and still active in this area. My name is Robert Lowe, and I'm a descendant from the Ma people. We've been around this area for many thousands of years, but today we get the opportunity to take part in a great program, and our program is to do the traditional welcome to country. So let us all acknowledge and pay our respects to all our neighbouring tribes in this area, and they are Karachamara, Chaparong, Kunkopanut, Karayarong, and Yowich. But today, on this very special day, we welcome you to the traditional land of our people, from the banks of the Hopkins River, right through to the Moon, to the Umarilla River. We welcome you to the traditional land of the Pegarong people, past and present. We'll look and thank you.
Thank you, Robbie. A wonderful ceremony. Good afternoon. My name is Peter Heaton, and I'm delighted to be here today with you for the opening of Lyndoch Living's state-of-the-art, dementia-friendly Swinton Wing. We, as non-Indigenous people, would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the waterways and lands on which we meet. Thank you to Robbie Lowe Senior for conducting a beautiful traditional welcome to country and smoking ceremony. Robbie is a Peak Wurrong respected elder of the Ma Nation. I would now like to acknowledge Her Excellency, the Governor of Victoria, Linda Dessau AC, the Honourable Dan Tehan MP, Lyndoch's Chair Kerry Nelson and CEO Doreen Power, distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. Our event today will take you on a journey that acknowledges Lyndoch Living's past, present and future, with personal messages from dignitaries, a tour of the new Swinton Wing and a story from the Swinton family on how Lyndoch has played a big part in their lives. I would now like to introduce Her Excellency, the Governor of Victoria, Linda Dessau AC.
Kerry Nelson, Chair and board members of Lyndoch Living, along with Miss Doreen Power, CEO, and of course the staff, the Honourable Dan Tehan, Member for Warrnambool and Federal Minister for Education, and all distinguished guests attending this historic virtual opening of the Swinton Wing at Lyndoch Living. History is, I must say, top of mind for me as I send this message to you. Lyndoch Living has been important to the history of Warrnambool and its residents since the early 1950s, but it's an organisation that has also held strong historic links with my role. What a pleasure it is for me to be invited to open a building in an organisation officially opened by my predecessor, Victoria's 19th Governor, Sir Dallas Brooks, and with wings opened by our 21st Governor, Sir Henry Winnicky, in 1974 and again in 1981. Well, I'm fortunate enough to have located Governor Winnicky's speech notes from both those occasions. It's clear that each time His Excellency was mightily impressed by the modern amenities of the new buildings, as I should say I am today from the photographs that have been shared with me. What stood out to me quite clearly from the documents at Government House were the many changes across the intervening decades from 1974 until today. I can see from his printed itinerary that as Governor Winnicky set off for Warrnambool, his first order of business was a rather nice sit-down dinner on the Viceregal train, a specially fitted out Victorian Railways carriage at the time used by Her Majesty when in Victoria and by the Governor of the day at all other times. Governor Winnicky certainly could never have envisaged that the first order of business for me on this occasion has been to set up a small mobile telephone to record a message for a virtual ceremony that I can't attend in person. You know, that said, it's also clear that much has not changed across those years, nor indeed since the official opening of Lyndoch in November 1952. We read in a newspaper of the day that on that earlier occasion, Sir Dallas Brooks told the assembled audience that care of the aged was the responsibility of every good citizen, a sentiment echoed by Governor Winnicky in acknowledging the strong awareness and concern for the needs of the aged shared by the whole community. Well, in 2020, the responsibility to care for the elderly is still front of mind, of course, and never more so than in these difficult times. There is another sentiment I share with my predecessors, one that I'm sure has in fact been common to all of Victoria's 29 governors, and that is a great affection for this beautiful part of our state. I'll look forward to visiting Warrnambool again when times permit, and I hope that I might be able to see this new Swinton wing in real life. In the meantime, all that I can see commends its clever design, of which I'm sure others will speak in more detail. What I can comment upon is that I'm sure that there are many people to thank for this vision and for its realisation. And as in all beautiful buildings, it is of course the skill and care of those who work within it that will ensure that the design meets its intent, to look after some of Victoria's most precious assets, folks who've contributed so much to their local community across so many years. I wish all those well who will live, work and visit here, and shortly it will be my pleasure to declare this Swinton wing officially open.
It's fantastic that even under our current restrictions, technology has enabled us to continue with the Lyndoch tradition of having a Governor of Victoria participate in the opening ceremony. On behalf of the board, the executive and the entire Lyndoch Living team, I would like to thank Her Excellency, the Governor of Victoria, Linda Dessau, for her heartfelt message. I'd now like to welcome the Honourable Dan Tehan, MP, to say a few words.
I would like to acknowledge Her Excellency, the Honourable Linda Dessau, Kerry Nelson, President of the Board, Doreen Power, CEO Lyndoch Living, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to congratulate Lyndoch Living on the self-funded development of the new Swinton wing with its internationally recognised dementia-friendly design elements and 43-bed capacity. At its heart is a design space that allows each resident to be known for the individual they are and strive to provide them with the specific services, care and support they need to enjoy a lifestyle that is their own, dignified, engaging, fulfilling and rewarding. It is no surprise that Lyndoch has developed such a wonderful space for their dementia residents, as the philosophy has always rested in non-institutional aged care and creating a homely and supportive environment for residents. I also appreciate the considerable work undertaken by the board and executive team for using goods and services locally to support our local businesses within the Southwest and the employment of over 100 people to deliver the project. Congratulations to Lyndoch on this wonderful achievement and your ongoing commitment to meeting the needs of our community in the southwest who require aged and residential care.
Thanks, Dan, for your positive words and acknowledgement of the team's hard work for this amazing building. As we move through the building today, you will see design features that express the connection between the Lyndoch home and its natural environment. For example, the wall behind me here reflects Logan's Beach as it extends east beyond the Hopkins River. I'd like now to introduce the Chair of Lyndoch Living, Miss Kerry Nelson.
On behalf of the Lyndoch Living community, I would like to thank Her Excellency, the Honourable Linda Dessau, for her kind words and for officially opening the Swinton Wing. It is wonderful to be able to continue our long-standing tradition of having the Governor of Victoria officially open our new Swinton Wing. I would also like to thank the Honourable Dan Tehan, MP, for his congratulatory message. We are grateful to have such a supportive local minister. Since Lyndoch's inception, we have always been guided by a master plan. From the very first one developed by our founding members, searching for an ideal site which would permit expansion down the track, followed by successive master plans rolled out each decade, which have underpinned the launch of an ever-expanding number of new facilities and services. The 1960s master plan articulated a clear vision for Lyndoch, which would ultimately establish itself as the principal centre for aged care in Warrnambool. It also envisaged an organisation which would provide elderly members of our community with wholly integrated services. Indeed, this has always been the Lyndoch way, to consistently look for new and improved opportunities to ensure that our residents continue to live the most fulfilling and dignified lifestyle possible. There have been many people over the years who have made a significant and invaluable contribution to this vision and the ongoing development and evolution of Lyndoch Living. Ern Harris, who played a vital role helping the first board raise an initial financial deposit to secure the purchase of Lyndoch. Keith Swinton, after whom the new wing is named, was also instrumental, putting forward his own home as collateral and acting as sole guarantor, thereby enabling the board to borrow the remaining funds to finalise the purchase. And Stan Berlin, whose futuristic ideas provided the impetus for securing Lyndoch's independence and the ultimate expansion of its facilities and additional services. Their vision and their immense contribution over many years did so much to underpin Lyndoch's continued growth and success. As Chair, and on behalf of the Lyndoch Living Board, it gives me great pleasure to be able to support our CEO and the executive team as they continue to follow these illustrious footsteps. This building is a testament to the team's foresight, resilience and determination, and on behalf of the board, I would like to extend a huge congratulations to Doreen Power, the entire Lyndoch Living team, and all those involved in successfully implementing this latest important step in the delivery of our overall master plan. What has been developed is nothing short of amazing and will no doubt benefit the life, health and well-being of every single person who lives and works within it. And finally, thank you to all those who assisted along the way and helped lay the foundations for successive generations of Warrnambool's elderly to know there's always a place they can call home. Lyndoch Living.
Way back in 1952, local shop owner Keith Swinton put his house on the line to chase the dream that we now know as Lyndoch Living. This video looks at just a small piece of that story.
My name is Helen Dean and my sister is Georgie Richmond and our father was Keith Swinton. Well, I remember Dad coming in at lunchtime and he'd come from the bank, I gathered. I was a 10-year-old standing in the kitchen with Mum, and he said, "Well, I've done it." And she said, "What have you done?" He said, "I've put the house up as guarantee to buy Lyndoch." And my mother went quite ballistic and said to Dad, how could you put our home up, da-da-da-da? And I'm standing there as a 10-year-old watching all this happen and thinking, this is serious, isn't it? And he let her calm down, because he was like that. He'd let her sort of blow a fuse and then he'd come in very quietly and he just said, "Look, it's going to work and it's going to happen. We need it." Early in the piece, when it first, I think, came to his mind, was he'd been nursing his father up in the hospital because it was during the war, and he used to go up and feed him 3 times a day. And I think he realised that there was nowhere for old people or elderly sick people to go. We had a couple of nursing homes that had limited beds, and that was all. And the number of people that got stuck in a hospital bed and ended up dying there, it was just appalling, and I think it quite horrified Dad that there was nowhere for people to go, and elderly people to have a home.
I'd like to read a short excerpt from an interview that Dad did in the early 60s. I think it was associated with a big fundraising drive. He said here, when he was asked why he'd become involved with Lyndoch, he said, "I consider that care of the aged is the responsibility of every citizen in our town, and I feel each one of us must make our contribution in some form or other to their comfort and welfare." And that was his motivation, that was his dream, to see this place where older people would be comfortable and looked after. And that was Dad to a T. I can't imagine how it must have been for such a young man. You know, my dad was 38 when he undertook this huge commitment. He went guarantor for the £41,000, which was a very large amount of money, to fulfil the commitment that he had to the community, so that Lyndoch could start to meet the needs of the community for aged people and to expand and grow and accommodate the changing needs of our community. People are happy, residents living in comfort and safety in a beautiful environment.
When Dad was 99, he realised he couldn't stay at home any longer and he couldn't cope by himself. And he went into Lyndoch and he went into Swinton Wing, which pleased him. And he was there until 3 weeks short of 100, and he died in Lyndoch. And I think he appreciated where he got to with his commitment, life's commitment.
This was Dad's legacy, and I'm just so delighted, and I know he would be thrilled to see how Lyndoch has developed.
Going back right to probably 1949, that he had this vision and the need in Warrnambool and district for an aged care facility, and he had plans, and they put a lot of it into action. And the master plan itself has been around for 20 years, but there's always been a form of plan gone with it.
My sister and I know how absolutely delighted he would be to see the way Lyndoch has developed. and he would have been so chuffed to think that he had been the main instigator for what now is such a wonderful organisation for this town. So, yes, Dad would be thrilled.
Thank you, Kerry, Helen and Georgia. An amazing story of Lyndoch's history, highlighting some very visionary people who were passionate about providing high quality care to our elderly. I'm sure they would be extremely proud to know that their ideas and visions are being upheld. I would now like to introduce Lyndoch CEO, Ms. Doreen Power.
The best way to predict the future is to create it. And what a transformation. From humble beginnings as a 12-bed hostel in 1952 to what is now regarded as one of regional Victoria's leading providers of aged and community care services. Lyndoch now has a reach that extends throughout the entire southwest region, with a future comprising a health and wellness precinct that promises to enrich the lives of those who reside and work within it, and will foster intergenerational engagement for many years to come. As leaders, we're sometimes asked the question, what achievement makes you most proud? And I would have to say that bringing this historical vision to life would be high on my list. But it has been far from a solo effort. It has involved the unremitting support and hard work of a vast number of people, each of whom deserve thanks and acknowledgement. To the Lyndoch team and all the local businesses who have worked so hard and more recently under highly challenging restrictions to bring this fantastic state-of-the-art dementia-friendly home to life, I say thank you. I am enormously proud that throughout this development we've been able to support so many local businesses, especially during the current COVID-19 pandemic. Inspiration for the design was drawn from the Heaton principles, which have been adopted by Lyndoch and align not just to our vision and values, but to best practices established by Dementia Australia and the Richard Fleming design principles. The design also incorporates ageing in place principles, including familiarity, legibility, distinctiveness, accessibility, connectivity, safety and individual choice. Research across the world has shown that caring for the elderly in smaller groups significantly reduces the stress of being in aged care. It enables more controlled social interaction and minimises the noise and the busyness, which typically goes hand in hand with bigger spaces and with more people. We've always endeavoured to ensure that the heart of our design journey considers the people, making sure they are living well and are connected as individuals to Lyndoch Living and the Warrnambool community. The place, making sure our spaces are authentic and relevant and are capable of delivering high quality care to the people within the region. And lastly, purpose, empowering every single person in our extended community, be they residents, families or staff. Our fundamental premise has always been about creating an authentic environment where our residents can live happily, healthily and in comfort in a way which enables them to go about their daily lives to the very best of their ability and to live a fulfilled and active life. In the new Swinton wing, we have paid tribute to our past, respected our present and paved the way for an even brighter future. And as care professionals and community members, we are continuing to make good on our commitment to ensure that all older people in our community have access to the highest quality care in an inviting, homely environment where they can live and age well. It is exciting to be able to fulfil a long-awaited vision through this development. The Swinton wing marks the culmination of phase 1 of our current and most ambitious master plan yet. And we will continue to build on that vision as we embark on the next phase of our development, the new primary healthcare centre. In the words of Stan Berlin, there are no limits to our growth. I feel that Lyndoch can develop into a centre equal to any in the largest cities. I hope that over the many years to come, those who live and work here continue to have many memorable experiences.
And now it's my pleasure to declare this Lyndoch Living Swinton wing officially open.
Historically, aged care homes were not designed to be homely. They were designed almost on that institutional model. The homes now need to be designed in a way that people feel welcomed, they feel comfortable and they feel safe, and that they feel it's a place that they're happy to be here. So we looked at different spaces. Some of the spaces are more formal, or they're a bit more conducive to people who want to sit with larger setting. Other places are more smaller and quieter. But in those spaces, we wanted to bring in the ingredients of home. And the way we did that is we chose more comfortable but more sort of timeless furniture. We looked at, okay, what are some of the ways we can make this feel cosy? So we looked at feature fireplaces. Television doesn't need to just be on a wall. The television can have an integrated joinery piece with shelvings that allowed you to then style it. And so some of the pieces you'll see on the shelves also capture the spirit of Warrnambool. One of the most important times throughout the day for residents is the dining experience, because dining brings people together. At the same time, like in a domestic experience, it's a lot more comfortable and relatable to have smaller dining spaces where people then can create sort of friendships, or they can also bring their families to join in with them on the meal area. So that's why we use the fireplaces also as a separation between the lounge and the dining. Similarly, how you would experience it at home, there's that visibility between lounge and dining. One of the things we needed to consider is in these dining spaces, typically there'll be a lot of noise and a lot of distraction, and will be quite loud. So there are acoustic ceilings that absorb that and reduce the noise reverberation. And then the kitchens in aged care homes were usually closed serveries. Here at Lyndoch, they are open kitchens, which means, again, it provides choice for people. It makes them feel at home. You can either make a meal or you can just have a snack or a sandwich. Should you choose to not be in the lounge area and want somewhere a little bit more quieter where you can retreat and read a book, there's a lovely smaller sort of library. It also has bookshelves that are styled with elements of Warrnambool. It's got lovely views out into the outdoor areas. And then it also got a smaller space where you can actually be in a smaller nook area. So you're still part of the library, but you're also part of those transitional spaces. Part of the library is the feature ceiling battens that also give you visual cues that you are actually at the library. Creates also a sense of warmth and coziness. Typically when you're in the library, you like to be in a more private zone, so it allows for that too. The corridors are generous in size because they are transitional spaces, so there are a lot of room for people to move around. They're not cluttered, they don't hinder people who are in wheelchairs, and they are also off the main bedrooms. And then once you enter into the room, again, there's that generous space. Some of the rooms are premium rooms where they're divided with bookshelf. So one space there's your bedroom, and then the other space there's a sitting area. At night, there's a automated sensory light. You can safely go to the bathroom. Residents can also find their belongings a lot easier with open shelves in the ensuite, and then a compartment of the robe where it's also open, so residents can find the item that they use every day is visible to them. Research will show you that having access to outdoor areas actually helps the health and well-being of the person. Some of the spaces upstairs, you've got balconies, but they're quite generous balconies with lovely views out to the river. There are other spaces where we've got green walls. The rooftop garden is a lovely place because you can go and plant herbs in the raised planter boxes, you can sit on the artificial grass, you can enjoy with family and friends, having a barbecue outside. There are shaded spots, there are also other places where you can actually sit down so you can walk. It's kind of like a journey, you can walk around the rooftop. It's very safe because it's enclosed. It's again that extension from indoors to outdoors. We can just sit and have a look at, the view and enjoy the sunshine. My favourite part of this home is that you feel a sense of pride. You feel that you are happy to live here, and it brings you such joy to also bring your friends and your family. It is a place that you would age well and live happy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to a close of our opening ceremony. I hope you've enjoyed the tour. I'd like to thank, on behalf of the Lyndoch board, everybody who's contributed to the opening of this wonderful facility. I hope you enjoyed the tour and have a wonderful afternoon.